Hi, I'm here with our very own David MacLennan, who has adapted and is directing Lysistrata by Aristophanes, which is the final in our season of Classic Cuts, and which opens at Odenmore on Monday, so that's the 28th of June. So, David, why Lysistrata?
It was a play that I first read at school when I was doing ancient Greek, and I remembered it. I was reminded about it when I was watching the mothers of some of the young Scottish soldiers killed in Afghanistan being interviewed about their feelings about really the wanton waste of those young men's lives. And of course, Lysistrata is a great anti-war play, and it's a play in which the women get together, led by Lysistrata, and go on a sex strike until the men agree to sign the peace. So that was what I wanted to do.
So it is a conscious political choice, because obviously Aristophanes wrote it to directly affect politics.
Well, I mean, the great thing about the play is that it is intensely political, but it's a very broad and very rude comedy.
Yeah, I was going to say, it is quite rude.
It is. Well, the result of the sex strike is that all the men get incredibly frustrated, and of course spend the rest of the play with massive erections. And this is quite explicit in the text.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are going to think, oh, what's happened here? What's David up to? But in fact, there is nothing in the play that isn't
in the original
Aristophanes version.
Yeah. What do you think about the portrayal of men in the play then?
Well, it's very interesting because, of course, when it was first performed, it was performed by male actors playing the women, but also playing the women playing the men, if you see what I mean.
Yes. Yeah.
I think a lot of the humour it rests in the fact that it's men portraying women, and actually the men are portrayed as rather weak characters. And the extraordinary thing is, of course, in ancient Greece, the women had no power at all, and indeed a man could be taken to court if he was considered to be under the influence of a woman. You can't get much more extreme than that. But the brave thing about the play, and it must have been quite revolutionary when it was done, was that this was the women saying, we're taking over the power. And of course the women storm the Acropolis, and they take over the treasury, and they won't let the men get any money to continue to fight the war. So it's a sort of double whammy.
It'll be interesting to see how it goes down for a modern audience. Has it been done much? I've never seen it.
I'm not aware of a production in Scotland. There may have been, but I haven't seen one in my time. I'm sure, I know that it's been done in drama schools, but I can't recall a public performance. It feels a very modern play. It feels like it could have been written yesterday.
Yeah,
I mean, although it's full of references.
Was it 400
It was written 2,500 years ago.
Crazy.
But it does feel very fresh.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the casting, about the actors you have in it, and your casting decisions.
Well, when I read the play, one thing struck me quite forcibly, quite quickly, and that was that the two central female characters, Lysistrata and her friend Cleonice, Susie and Cleo, seemed to me very like Bear's Den women. They're well off, they're married to influential men, they don't work, I'm probably alienating every woman who lives in Bear's Den now. They do a lot of shopping, and they do a lot of gossiping, coffee. So that sort of gave me the clue, A, about how to cast it, and B, how to adapt it. The Spartan women are much more rough trade and broader. So we've been lucky enough to secure the services of Colin McCready to play Susie, Lysistrata, and for Ian Robertson to play Cleonice or Cleo.
With fierce voices. And in terms of doing the adaptation,
yes.
How did you find that, and how do you think the play works as a stripped down 45-minute version?
Well, it wasn't that hard to get it down to that length because the original isn't that long. The original is maybe an hour 20, unlike, say, Fuente Laguna, which is maybe 2.5 hours, which we're doing this week. And also, there are passages which are perhaps a little obscure to the modern audience, and I trim them away. But the bones of it are very clear and understandable. So adapting it was great fun.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait. Obviously, it's the last play in our season. So if you want to reflect on even just the classic cut season as a whole and how it's
well, it's touch wood. So far, it's gone very well. It's been a wonderfully contrasting season with the Chekhov, the Seagull, which, although he described it as a comedy, is in fact quite a tragic comedy.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we had Liz Lockhead's marvellous, joyous version of Tartuffe, and this week that passionate Spanish play. And interestingly enough, I think in all 4 plays, it's the women characters who are strong, and the men who are rather weak.
Yeah.
Of course, in Fuente Laguna, there's that marvellous speech about weak men from the central character, and then Arkadina in Seagull has this rather weak writer boyfriend and actually rather weak son.
Yeah.
And in Tartuffe, Orgon, of course, is the sucker, and it's his wife who sets up the revenge. And in Lysistrata, it's the strong women who force the men to end the war. So I can't claim that it was a conscious programming decision, but it's interesting that that's the way it's worked out.
Yeah. Not so good for the men of the.
Well,
something good to see.
Time we took our tasting.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what about the autumn season? They want to give us any tasters for what
Well, the great moment, of course, is in the first week of October when we do play 200, which seems unbelievable. We are going to co-produce the first 5 plays. We're going to co-produce with Payne's Plough, and they're going, as you know, I'm standing, sitting here telling you this. They're going touring to Edinburgh, Dublin, Newcastle and Coventry after they play here, and I'm very excited about that, because taking play Pie to Pint to other cities and spreading the word.
Yeah, it'll be brilliant. Very exciting.
And then we've got a lot of interesting plays in the pipeline, a mixture of very well-known writers and some young up-and-coming writers, and then we're going to end up with the Panto.
Do you know what the Panto will be yet?
I think we might do Sleeping Beauty.
Oh, okay, good.
But we always cheat anyway and have characters from every other panto.
Yeah, so let's pick that. Yeah. Good stuff. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.